Masked Rider Episode 1. SABAN'S Masked Rider Episode 1. I guess Escape from Edenoid Part 1, I think is what it is. This is my instant reaction. Here I go. First of all, I don't understand why it's called Escape from Edenoid, because he's not really escaping from Edenoid. It's more that he's leaving and going to protect Earth. Maybe just because it sounds cool. It reminds somebody in the writing staff of Escape from LA or whatever. I don't know. Or was New York the first one? I don't know. I only ever saw one of them. Doesn't matter. So, anyway, honestly, I mean, I kind of like the show. Maybe there's a little nostalgia there. I love Black RX. I love, Minami Kochiro in general. And mostly from Black, though, because that's the one I've seen most of. But, I don't want to get into comparing it, but I gotta admit, I think that at least part of it is that I like that show or that design and that character, really. So, it's going to be hard for me to distinguish it from that. Although, there's a lot in this show that is distinct. So, I did watch the three-part Friend in Need Power Rangers Season 3 set of episodes, and those are pretty different from this. It's almost as if those either didn't happen or they happened in like a different continuity. It's basically a different continuity. So that was the backdoor pilot, and then this is the actual pilot for this show. And I could see that they reused some assets and they reused some of the scenarios, and they just kind of like it was like the first draft sort of, with all this Power Ranger stuff in it, and then they condensed it down into this first episode. But within 5 minutes, I think, of this first episode, he's already leaving Edenoid, Dex is, that is, and getting the power of Masked Rider. But in the Power Rangers one, it seemed like Edenoid was dying, and that he had to escape and like carry on the legacy of Edenoid. But in this, it seems like Edenoid's not dying. The planet will survive, and there's no real reason given as to why Dragon is going to Earth and attacking it. But it's like everybody knows, so it's kind of like a soft reboot. Like, yeah, the Power Rangers crossover kind of did happen, but it kind of didn't, because they're playing fast and loose with it and changing some of the details. I love the music. The music later goes on to be used in Digimon Adventure and Zero 2, actually, and it's fabulous music. In doing some research on all of this, because I've been thinking about the eventual podcast I'll turn this into, Straight Out of Edenoid, which will be a little more official. These are going to be my raw reactions to the show that I'm going to be putting out, and then I'm going to do Straight Out of Edenoid, where I'm going to talk about it a little more in-depth style. So this will be like real quick, and those are going to be short too, probably, so they'll probably be a decent length together, but not long. Anyway, but while I was doing research, I found out that the guy who did the music for Digimon was actually the guy who did the music for Masked Rider, and they just repurposed it, I guess, because Masked Rider failed in the first season. So they were done with it, and then it went forward, and they ended up using the music in that. And I kind of thought, I wondered if Saban had done the music himself, but it turns out he's not the composer. It was somebody else, even though he did, fun fact, compose the music for Inspector Gadget, the theme. Ba-ba-da-ba-dum. So I don't want him to sue me, so I'm not going to do the whole thing. So yeah, like there was like interesting character moments with like this family adopting Dex, like the mom thinking he's crazy, the crazy dad like giving him a chance, the girl laughing at him, Albie, the boy, I remember his name for sure. He kind of seemed into this like whole, crazy alien creature superhero guy living with them, and that was kind of fun because I would think as a kid, like that's a very kid reaction to have, and like the mom wanted to call the cops and stuff. Like it was weird. Like it was written like very honestly and very like realistically, which is really dumb for this show and for how ridiculous this show gets, as far as I remember. So that was kind of cool. I did like that. There were some odd takes or odd choices, like when Dex picks up Furbus after discovering him. When Dex picks up Furbus at some point, and his smile, it looked kind of funny. So I don't know how much of it's supposed to be like Dex is awkward as being an Earthling, but it looks funny for a person too, or like anybody, an Edenite. I guess it looks funny for them too. So it was just that was an awkward moment for sure. But then in other places, he seems like really spot on. But so like when he sees the TV footage of the Destructo Orb or whatever, which is the villain who I can't remember the name of her now. It was like Barome or something like that from Kamen Rider Zedo. Anyway, when he's seeing the news footage of that guy attacking, he gets like upset and he's mad, but at the same time it's weird. They kept a wide shot of him laying back, and like he didn't get on the edge of his seat, which maybe that's an Earth thing, an Earthling would do that, but not somebody with, the Edenese culture or whatever. I don't know, but it just seemed odd and out of place, and like he didn't really care until so Albie was over there with him, and then the sister came along, and she was like, "Oh, Dex, what's going on? What's gonna happen?" And then all of a sudden he got up, and then he like jumped up from the couch, maybe through the blanket or whatever. At least that's how it felt to me. It was very emphatic, him getting up and saying like, "Oh, I have to go deal with this now," and like that was cool, but like it was just weird. So like, good directing, bad directing. Also, there's a really great shot in the beginning when he's talking to his grandpa, where the camera's kind of rotating around them as they're talking, and like their performances are spot on. Again, this is a kind of a silly show, but like they're taking it seriously, and their performances are really cool. The old man, his grandpa, Lexian, and then Dex, anyway, Robert says Dex, and I like the way the camera's moving is really cool, but like that's probably the coolest the camera gets to be. It's a lot more static throughout the rest of the show, but it takes this weird moment to shine, kind of, which was really interesting to me. And I kind of like the little bit of like more characterization we got in his crew that was with him. It was super short, but it was very impactful, and I got like a decent sense for everybody. Like the girl just seemed angry and feisty. The Asian dude is like serious and noble, and the other guy I can't remember. But anyway, I got, like I said, I got a decent, not like an amazing. So it wasn't like the best thing ever done. But I don't know, like the premise of it seems cool, and it doesn't seem like it's going to be that ridiculous sitcom that it's supposed to be, and that I guess it sort of eventually kind of turns into, maybe. But like it is a very like 90s, it's a multicultural, multi-ethnic family, which was kind of funny to see. But I don't know, it kind of works too, because like why wouldn't they adopt, right? And if they were going to adopt, why? I mean, he's white, she's Asian. Why are they going to adopt only a white or an Asian kid? It makes kind of makes sense that Albie's in there too. But and like it was a really sweet moment when Albie was like, "Hey, you're an orphan too. Maybe my mom and dad, or maybe our mom and dad can adopt you too." And Mom's like, "Whoa, slow your roll, kid. Like I'm not ready to take on another kid." Although effectively they do, just accept this guy living in their home and everything. But this is like that hasn't been decided yet. I bet at the end of episode 2 or so, it will be decided, "Hey Dex, why don't you stay with us? You can become one of the family. You can become a steward." And I don't know, it's just like there's a really like an oddly like sweet, nice emotional core to this show so far. And like the weird bully, what's her name? Like it's not Sally. Savvy. That's I don't know. The weird like bully girl who's like bossing around the nerd. Like she's irritating, and I don't like her too much. But I did like the moment where she's like bossing this guy around, and she's like, "Well, if you don't do this, you won't be able to take me to the movies on Saturday night or whatever." And like obviously that's not a good person. That's not a good character trait. But that's a good thing to see in fiction. That's a good like villainous thing to see in fiction. And I kind of like her being a heel and sort of a bad guy. And that's kind of fun, although I don't want it to be overplayed too much. So we'll see how irritating they get to be. But they weren't in the show too much. But then there's like, they start the subplot at the end where Dex goes out into the backyard, I guess, and transforms into Masked Rider. And she's like, "I saw a giant bug. I have to do something about this." And then like it kind of hangs on that. Oh, also the camera moved. It was like a POV shot with like a moving camera almost, as she's like looking over the wall. Like it's supposed to be her POV looking over the wall. So like I don't know if they had like this is the pilot though. Like they should have had like whoever the best Power Rangers director was at the time working on that. Unless I don't remember the details for the Power Rangers movie, how much of the crew went over and was running stuff in Australia for the shoot of the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers movie. Like, was Koichi Sakamoto already working for them, and was he working on that movie? I don't know. I couldn't say. Yeah, I couldn't say. But anyway, I just find it interesting that like they were doing some crazy things with the camera. So anyway, like I'm interested in the show. I think it's cool right now. We'll see if it gets weird or weak or whatever. The Purpose stuff hasn't been overplayed yet. Like I don't mind him, cute mascot character or whatever. Like I'm okay with it for now. So anyway, yeah, I'm gonna do a little bit more nerdy stuff for like the podcast version of this, where I'm gonna add more data, just because I'm like that. But yeah, that's it for now. I liked SABAN'S Masked Rider episode 1, and I'm curious to see what the rest of the season is like, because I don't quite remember it from when I was a kid. So anyway, peace out. Check out m2minutes.com for more of my stuff.